Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. If you've ever tried to teach someone English, you know that it's kind of a weird language. There are peculiarities to it that seemingly don't make any sense, especially if a different way of saying something gets the point across just as well. Which makes English hard to learn, sure, but that malleability also makes it a playful language too. That's how Alice Franklin uses it in her novel Life Hacks for a Little Alien. It centers an autistic character who is hyper aware of the grammatical irregularities that exist within English. Franklin tells NPR Scott Simon about how it's all about poking at and questioning what we think of as, quote, normal. That's ahead.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Cunard, inviting you to take in the sounds of Alaska. Relax on spacious decks with 360-degree views as you cruise through Glacier Bay National Park. Hear the call of a bald eagle or the song of a humpback whale as you take in the beauty of Alaska's snow-capped mountains from your own private balcony. More at cunard.com/Alaska.
Alice Franklin's new novel is a story told by an often lonely little girl in the south of England who doesn't seem to see the world, or hear its sounds, or speak and think in the way other children do. So when she hears on late-night TV about a mysterious manuscript, an ancient document written in an unknown and alien language, she thinks, at last, these could be my people. Life Hacks for a Little Alien. It's the widely praised debut novel from Alice Franklin, who joins us now from the studios of the BBC in London. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
What should we know about this unnamed little narrator?
Well, she's referred to as Little Alien by the narrator. I wrote her as a neurodivergent character, autistic to be specific.
The novel is told in the second person, and let me ask you to read a section in which she speaks for herself to the reader, if I could.
Sure. It goes like this. You won't be normal. Aliens can't be normal. You'll be normal enough, though. And by this, I mean you'll have just enough normal to seem normal without actually being normal. Let me explain. Like normal human children, you'll disregard every grammatical irregularity that comes your way. You'll say things like, I goed to school with my mum. I eated the orange, and colouring in is funner than skipping. If I were a prescriptivist, I would lambast you for these flagrant over-regularizations. But as it happens, I am not a prescriptivist. I am a descriptivist, and as a descriptivist, I applaud you.
Tell us about your use of the word normal here.
The protagonist, Little Alien, is always trying to fit in with what is expected of her, but because she is undiagnosed, neurodivergent, she doesn't know what's expected of her. It's all just guesswork.
Yeah, and so the word normal becomes what?
Neurotypical, I guess.
Why write this novel? What's your thought of writing in the second person?
Well, the whole novel is told there's an unnamed narrator talking to an unnamed protagonist. So it's really like an I addressing a you. Also, I just quite like second person present tense. I find it quite easy to work from this perspective.
Easy? You bring yourself into a certain frame of mind?
I don't know. I also kind of wanted the readers of this story to feel as much empathy as possible with this small creature.
What do you think she senses in the Voynich manuscript when she hears about it? I made a note. She says, since learning about the manuscript, you are on, alive, kicking and awake.
The Voynich manuscript is a medieval codex written in an unknown language and an unknown script. The thing about it is that no one's been able to decipher it, even though it's been around for hundreds of years. And I think this really piques Little Alien's interest. I think she can see some parallels between the Voynich manuscript and her own experiences. People don't really understand her either.
And her profound good friend, Bobby, how do they support one another?
Bobby is exactly what Little Alien needs. He's a bit more intrepid. He's a bit braver than her. And so he's sort of courageous for her and is accepting of her differences in a way other people aren't, so that when they go on their little adventure together to see the Voynich manuscript, he's sort of what enables that adventure and sort of gives her the courage to continue on her journey.
Ms. Franklin, how much new language did you create to tell this story?
What do you mean by new language, please?
Well, I think you just read a section where you talked about the word she uses.
Like go to school, eat the orange, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
These are things that even neurotypical children do when they're acquiring language. When they're very young, they make everything more regular than it is because English is a quirky language.
Is it kind of like a jazz-style riff on the language we use?
I don't know.
When did this character first begin to take up residence in you?
Well, I started writing this book 5 years ago. It took me about 3 years to write. I kind of got the voice of the narrator first, overly confident, playful, word-loving, and then Little Alien came second a bit. It's 95% fiction, I'd say. I wanted to write Little Alien as a character I could relate to. A large part of her sort of bewilderment comes from the fact that she is undiagnosed autistic, and I myself was not diagnosed as a child. I had to wait till adulthood to be diagnosed.
How is it for you now, may I ask?
I feel a lot more confident now.
What do you want people who read this novel to take away from it?
If readers are neurodivergent, it would be nice if they read this story and felt like it resonated a bit. If they're neurotypical, perhaps it might shed some more light on what autism can be like for some people. It's hard to encapsulate it, even just within one novel. But also, I just wanted to tell an entertaining, enjoyable story as well. So even if people learn nothing but enjoy the narrative, I think that's still valid. I'd still be pleased with that.
Alice Franklin, her debut novel, Life Hacks for Little Alien. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
This message comes from Schwab. At Schwab, how you invest is your choice, not theirs. That's why when it comes to managing your wealth, Schwab gives you more choices. You can invest and trade on your own. Plus, get advice and more comprehensive wealth solutions to help meet your unique needs. With award-winning service, low costs, and transparent advice, you can manage your wealth your way at Schwab. Visit schwab.com to learn more.
This message comes from Best Western Hotels and Resorts. If you love a good podcast, then you must love a good story. And the best stories start with a great trip. That's where Best Western comes in. Whether you've been planning a getaway for weeks or just got the itch to go, Best Western has you covered with over 4,000 hotels worldwide. Wherever your story takes you, make it memorable. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at bestwestern.com. This message comes from Charles Schwab. When it comes to managing your wealth, Schwab gives you more choices, like full-service wealth management and advice when you need it. You can also invest on your own and trade on Think or Swim. Visit schwab.com to learn more.